As Ethan Blackwood's contract girlfriend, I've learned to swallow a lot of pride. His old flame came back early, torn between bolting immediately and just gritting my teeth until my end-of-year payout. I chose to dry heave. Later, my best friend took me to the hospital. Weren't you told you couldn't get pregnant? How? Shoo, keep your voice down. It's not his. Ethan thinks he's hiding it so well. But I've known for ages that he's the one who's infertile. Playing along has been exhausting. Just then, I saw Ethan walk out of the exam room next door, his eyes red. A shadow fell over me. A tall broad-shouldered man blocked my path, his hazel eyes misty. What you just said? How did you know? I never expected to run into Ethan here. He was supposed to have left for the airport at dawn to pick up his old flame. I was so sure he wouldn't be back today, which is why I'd seized the opportunity to have my friend Chloe come with me to the hospital first thing in the morning. Don't worry, Chloe's lips are sealed. What's that saying? Best friends always have their little secrets, right, Chloe? Chloe looked mortified, glancing nervously at Ethan. Mr. Blackwood, I only took an hour off. I should get back to my desk. With that, she grabbed her purse and hurried away. Looks like I've messed things up again. I folded the papers into a neat square and tucked them into a zippered pocket. What's wrong with you? Not feeling well? But this is the OBGYN wing. Ethan, why did you step out all of a sudden? The doctor said it's nothing serious. A tall girl walked over and casually rested her hand on Ethan's shoulder. Dark hair, bright doe-like eyes, and delicate eyebrows as faint as mist on a distant mountain. If you didn't look too closely, she really did look a lot like me. It finally dawned on me that he was here with Isabel. It's been a while for you, too. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. So things must have gotten intense. My apologies. My brain just caught up. Isabel let out a laugh. You must be Jenna, right? You're funny. Even when you're dissing someone, you sound like a robot. You're mistaken. I'm not dissing anyone. I'm simply stating what I believe to be the most likely possibility. The air froze for a second. Well, it's great to meet you. I'm Isabel, Ethan's childhood friend. Out of politeness, I shook the hand Isabel extended toward me. I'm Jenna, the stand-in Ethan hired. Now that the real deal is back, I'll be sure to move out as soon as possible. Isabel looked back at Ethan. Wait, you haven't told her yet? Ethan pulled Isabel's hand from mine. I'll find the right time. Let's go. I'll take you home first. My hand was still raised, frozen awkwardly in midair. What kind of cryptic game were they playing? The contract never said I had to become part of their little charade once the main character returned. Ethan, never mind. Have a nice day. Ethan shot me a suspicious look before leading Isabel away from the bustling hallway. I stood there for a good few minutes before I dared to stomp my foot in frustration. I was just hoping to bum a ride home with Ethan, but I guess in their eyes that came off as some kind of shameless provocation. Damn it. Now I have to spend another $20 on an Uber. I sighed, resigned to my fate, and opened the ride-sharing app. When I got back to Ethan's villa, the dramatic scene I'd imagined wasn't there. Neither Ethan nor Isabel had returned. They were probably out on a date. I found a decent-sized suitcase and started packing. The clothes could stay. The closet was full of gowns I only wore to important events with Ethan. If I tried to sell them on Poshmark, my private life would be exposed in a heartbeat. Cashing them in was a dead end, making them no different from a stack of dusty magazines. From now on, living on my own, I could just wear those 2 or 3 basic sweatshirts. But the jewelry was another story. I was taking all of it. Ethan had said they were gifts given willingly, and the moment they were in my hands, they were mine. I scooped up a few heavy necklaces, put them all on in front of the mirror, and gave a little twirl. Yep, that's the feeling. Even if the weight made my neck ache, I wouldn't bow my head so easily. When I'm old and out of money, I'll just sell one piece a month to keep myself going. Following the principle of a thorough search, I scoured the bedroom one more time. For some reason, Ethan insisted on hanging his clothes in my closet. So, I went through them all and sure enough, found a ring box I'd never seen before in the inner pocket of a suit jacket. I opened the velvet box, and the massive diamond inside was so bright it nearly blinded me. It looked expensive. Probably for his proposal to the old flame he'd waited 3 years for. I felt a pang of envy and put it back, gritting my teeth. That's right. I'm just that shallow, that obsessed with money. If Ethan hadn't offered such an insane amount back then, I wouldn't have signed the agreement so readily. I crouched down and scanned the nightstand again, finding the fake marriage certificate from back then. The certificate was just a cover. The inside was blank. The Blackwoods had never even noticed. His family had been watching us like hawks at the time, so we had to make a big show of holding hands and walking in through the front door of the courthouse. I spotted a side exit, and Ethan, unable to refuse me, snuck out the back with me. We found a small diner and had a bowl of noodles before going back. When we returned through the front entrance, our faces were flushed from eating the scalding noodles too quickly. The family just assumed we were a young couple giddy about getting our license and dropped all their suspicions. For a guy his age in the world of rich kids, Ethan was genuinely boring. He had zero social life, didn't go clubbing or get drunk with his buddies, and always liked to drag me back to the family estate to report in. When I first signed the contract, I thought my job was just to be a beautiful trophy. But in the end, I was just as much of a workhorse as anyone else. On call 24/7, working a 9 to 5 schedule. The only difference was he paid me more than enough. Enough to last me a lifetime. I suppose I should be grateful. I found a pen and wrote inside the fake certificate, wishing Ethan and Isabel a lifetime of happiness. I locked the drawer and rolled my suitcase out the door. As the elevator stopped on the ground floor, I started to walk out. The suitcase wheels got stuck on the threshold. I yanked it a couple of times, but then a large well-defined hand reached out and lifted it right back inside for me. I looked up and met Ethan's cool gaze. "Mr. Blackwood, back by yourself. You're not using my name again. Are you mad?" "Oh, Ethan, no, I'm not mad." He reached out, pressed the button for an upper floor, and the elevator doors closed. I was on my way out. He didn't say anything, just pressed the button for the first floor again. I didn't know where to look, so I stared down at my toes. "Ethan, since Isabel is back, our contract doesn't need to continue, right? What do you think? Maybe you could pay out half my contract fee. Is money all you care about?" Ethan rested his hand on the suitcase handle, his ring finger tapping out an unknown rhythm. "What if I could give you something more useful than money? Is there anything in this world better than money?" I didn't dare say that out loud, so I pretended to think for a moment. "Like what? Fame? Power?" "Ethan, you should know. Those things are too complicated for me to grasp. But when money is in my pocket, I can hold on to it tightly." The tapping stopped. "Jenna, I never said our contract was over. It was my mistake for not telling you about Isabel's return in advance. When it officially ends, I'll give you double the pay. Today's Friday. Go upstairs, change your clothes, and come with me to the family estate." The elevator had gone from the ground floor up to the 5th and was now back on the 1st. Before the doors could fully open, I pressed the button for the 5th floor again and closed them. "Fine. For the next few months, it's a pleasure doing business with you. Ethan, just to be safe, I have to ask, when the contract is up, are you going to renew?" I didn't face him when I asked, but I could feel his gaze on me carrying a hint of barely perceptible anger. The sound of the elevator doors opening coincided with Ethan's low voice. "No, it won't be necessary anymore." The person he was waiting for was back. Of course, he wouldn't need to renew. I had asked an incredibly stupid question. I snatched the suitcase from Ethan's hand, pursed my lips, and walked ahead of him. On the way to the family estate, Ethan, for some reason, sat with me in the back seat. He kept glancing at me, looking like he had something to say, but couldn't get it out. "Mr. Blackwood, is there something you want to tell me?" "Ahem, yes. Are you free next Wednesday? We don't have to go to my family's place. I booked a table at that fountain restaurant you love. How about we have dinner together, just the two of us, for a change?" "Okay, but I need to be back before 10. The atmosphere in the car instantly dropped. Ethan grabbed my wrist. "What? You have a date with someone else?" "I don't care if you're secretly seeing someone, but our contract explicitly states that during this period, we can't do anything to damage each other's reputation. What if you get photographed? Are you that desperate to ride off into the sunset with your new lover boy?" I struggled, but I couldn't break free from his grip. He was even tightening it. I slipped off my shoe and kicked his arm hard. He awkwardly pulled his hand back, his expression returning to its usual indifference. "Sorry, I think I lost control. We're just in a contract relationship. Why are you so worked up? I don't understand. Also, I'm not seeing anyone." I turned my head away, rubbing the red mark on my wrist. I had kicked so hard that my whole body had tilted and my foot was still resting on Ethan's leg. Just as I was about to sneak it back, Ethan, as if he could read my mind, grabbed my ankle and pulled me back toward him. "Not seeing anyone, but you have a child. Is that it?" "Jenna, I never knew you were this bold." "Oh, so that's what this is about." "Sorry, it's still too early to schedule the procedure." "Don't worry, Mr. Blackwood. I'll take care of it. It was an accident. I won't secretly keep it." But Ethan didn't seem satisfied with my answer. His face darkened again, inch by inch. "Why are you always like this? It's like nothing matters to you except a fair exchange of benefits. Have you looked into the risks of the surgery? Who's the father? Shouldn't he be the one responsible for this?" He was being so weird today. I turned my head and muttered, "Because it's not important. Besides, it's not like you're my anything." For the rest of the drive, we stared in different directions, neither of us speaking to the other. Back at the Blackwood estate, Ethan's mother, as usual, had the housekeeper prepare a full spread. The awkwardness from the car hadn't dissipated. Even though all my favorite dishes were on Ethan's side of the table, I took my bowl and sat opposite him. "Jenna, dear, what's wrong? Did Ethan bully you?" "Bully me? I didn't think so. Aside from being a bit rigid, Ethan had always been very good to me. It was just that things between us had gotten strange. So strange that I couldn't handle it anymore." I lowered my head, silently, shoveling food into my mouth, eating whatever I happened to grab. I don't know what I ate, but a strange taste exploded in my mouth, and a wave of nausea washed over me. I made an apologetic gesture, covered my mouth and rushed to the bathroom to dry heave. I felt much better after throwing up everything I had just eaten. When I came out, Ethan's mother's eyes lit up. She came over to support me. "Are you two expecting?" I opened my mouth to explain, but Ethan quickly came up behind me, wrapping an arm around my shoulders. "Mom, it's not past the first trimester, so we can't say." "Oh, right. Can't say. Wonderful. You wait here for Mom for a minute." A huge smile on her face, Mrs. Blackwood scurried off toward her bedroom. A moment later, she returned with a heavy, ornate jewelry box. "Ethan is just like his father, not good with words, but he loves you from the bottom of his heart. You two must take good care of each other from now on. You two have a good chat. I'll go get some fruit." After his mother left, I opened the box. Inside lay a stunning imperial green jade bangle. "I can't accept this. You should find a chance to give it to Isabel." Ethan ignored me, took the bangle, and slipped it onto my wrist. It was a perfect fit, not too big or too small. "Mom gave it to you, so you should keep it. It's just a bangle." "But isn't this the family heirloom? The one passed down to the daughter-in-law?" A slight curve appeared on Ethan's lips. "You should read fewer novels and short dramas." "Oh, but I think we still need to talk." I pulled Ethan toward the landscaped area outside the villa. "Ethan, you crossed a line. The contract doesn't say I have to have a baby for you." Ethan turned me to face him. "I just wanted to see what it would take to make you care." "Jenna, you haven't been angry in a long time." "This isn't anger." I didn't understand why Ethan was so obsessed with studying my emotions. He should know that in my world there is no joy, anger, sadness, or happiness. Only good and bad, interesting and uninteresting. "You're being so strange right now. Didn't we agree to follow the contract? I admit I'm the one who had an accident, but I really will take care of it." "You don't actually want to keep it and raise it as your own child, do you?" "Ethan, this is outside the rules I can adapt to. I can't handle this." Under the lamplight, Ethan lowered his head, his eyelashes casting beautiful shadows on his face. He held out his hand to me as if inviting me to take it. "Actually, if you wanted to keep it, I could." "What did you just say?" I didn't hear. My question was cut off as I was suddenly pulled into a fiery embrace. Well, Uncle Ethan, instead of spending the evening with your old flame, what are you doing trying to steal someone else's girlfriend?" Ethan's outstretched hand was left hanging, and the corner of his mouth twitched. "Cole, do your parents know that instead of studying, you're sneaking into someone's house late at night to hit on your own aunt?" Cole wasn't fazed at all. He just pulled me tighter into his embrace and rested his head on my shoulder. "Oh my God, no way. Does someone really think that just because you sign a fake contract and pretend to be a couple, the other person actually becomes your wife?" "Uncle Ethan, you are indeed older and a generation above me. But this lovely lady is only 3 years older than me. Besides, a man's past is prime after 25. You're in your 30s. Basically 1 foot in the grave. Why shouldn't she get to enjoy something fresh and new?" Ethan's face turned colder by the second. He reached around me, yanked Cole out, and punched him in the jaw. Cole wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and deliberately staggered, pretending to lose his balance as he fell toward me. I knew he was faking it, but I caught him anyway. Ethan's brow was furrowed with rage. "You even told him about that?" "I didn't. He probably saw something when he was upstairs." His voice suddenly rose, a tremor at the end of it. "You let him into the house. So, he's the one." "No." "Yes." Cole pulled me behind him. "All right, don't scare the lady. You exposed yourself at the party last year. I've known for a long time." Ethan stared intently at Cole's hand intertwined with mine. I knew he was genuinely furious now. "Mr. Blackwood, perhaps it would be better if I moved out first." "Move where?" "Are you sure you want to be with this mystery man? Our contract hasn't expired. You should understand what I mean by that, right?" "Yes, I do." "Then come back with me." I looked at Ethan, hesitating. Cole and I weren't in the kind of relationship he was imagining. Now that the person he truly loved was back, it wouldn't be right for me to keep overstaying my welcome. Sooner or later, it would have to disappear quietly. My fingers twitched. Ethan's phone rang. I was close enough to hear the voice on the other end clearly. "Ethan, I am suddenly bleeding. I'm scared. Can you come over now?" "Don't panic. I'm on my way." An expression of frustration crossed Ethan's face. He leaned in and whispered in my ear, "Wait for me to come back." Then he turned and left. "Take care, Uncle Ethan. The lady and I won't see you out." Cole seized the opportunity to wrap his arm around my waist again and whistle at Ethan's retreating figure. After Ethan was gone, I turned and slapped Cole across the face. "What are you doing here?" He stared at me, his eyes wet and glistening. "Did I hurt you? I'm just a poor little lost puppy who can't find his owner. Is it so wrong to come looking for my owner when I finally catch her scent?" "Jenna, I know you're using me. You can use me all you want. Just reward me a little." For some reason, I felt incredibly irritated. It was just a matter of saying goodbye to Ethan, but I was already feeling withdrawal symptoms. "I don't need you. When the contract is over, we'll have nothing to do with each other." "What if it ends and he still won't let you go?" I gave a self-deprecating smirk. The real deal was back. How could he possibly be reluctant to let go of a replacement like me? Seeing me lost in thought, Cole grew bolder and pressed my hand to his cheek. By the way, does my boring wooden uncle have any idea how good your slap feels? It has nothing to do with you. Don't come looking for me again. I left Cole standing there and walked back by myself. Cole. His name meant clear and pure, but he was the exact opposite, a complete and utter madman. It wasn't so much that I disliked him, but rather that we were destined to never get along because I wasn't exactly normal either. From the very beginning, he had maintained an increasingly extreme and fervent passion for me, and I just happened to be a freak with emotional detachment. A person with no feelings who had to fake it just to blend in with normal people. All this time, the only person I felt remotely comfortable with was, ironically, Ethan. If Ethan hadn't gone abroad to find Isabel back then, I probably would have never gotten involved with Cole. That day, an hour after Ethan left, I came down with a high fever. I work out regularly and rarely get sick, which meant that when I did, it hit me like a tidal wave. My eyes half closed. I habitually called Ethan's number in a daze, but I didn't realize I'd hit 3 on my speed dial, a shortcut Cole had secretly set for himself at that party last year. Jenna? Yeah. Do you know who this is? I feel awful. Can you come back? My chest felt like it was being consumed by flames. I couldn't breathe. I deliriously opened all the windows in the room. I collapsed into the soft pillows, my head growing heavier and heavier. After a clatter of metal and the sound of footsteps, I was lifted into a cool embrace. Ethan, you really came back? He didn't speak, just leaned down and kissed me. His hot lips and tongue tried to force their way past my teeth, which I had clenched shut in sudden alarm. This wasn't Ethan. This wasn't Ethan. My arms were weak, so I kicked at him wildly with my feet. You're not Ethan. Who are you? TCH. What's so great about that old man anyway? He held me tightly, stopping my flailing limbs. Okay, I won't touch you. Take your medicine and get some sleep. After that, he really did just give me fever medicine. When I woke up again, the spot next to me was empty. The only thing left was a climbing rope dangling from the window down to the ground. My thoughts snapped back to the present. I had somehow made it back to Ethan's villa. I looked at the photo of us hanging at the turn of the stairs and suddenly felt a little sad. I had practiced that standard smile in the picture so many times to get it just right for the camera. What a waste. Soon it would be taken down and replaced with a photo of Ethan and Isabel. This was our wedding photo taken after the first time we were intimate. Ethan had said that not having a single photo of us together in the house looked too fake, even for a casual glance from his parents. I thought he had a point, so I agreed. Our first time was just as natural. It happened as inevitably as a leaf falling from a tree, pulled to the ground by gravity. A rainy day, an intimate atmosphere. Everything was just right. Ethan leaned in and I didn't pull away. Can I kiss you? I fought to suppress my curiosity about this new experience, but the words that came out were, isn't this a breach of contract? He paused, then smiled and immediately transferred a 7-figure sum to my account. You little gold digger. I'll take the penalty. It won't count as your breach. Wait, I have no experience. Okay, I know. Ethan was gentle and patient, leading me up one peak after another that I had never scaled before. We greedily stole the air from each other's lungs, moving from the sofa to the bedroom. In the heat of the moment, there was no time to prepare anything, and he seemed like a rookie himself, surrendering after just a short while. Fortunately, everything after that was perfect. Ethan was very attentive to my needs, adjusting his service based on my feedback. We explored each other all night, finally falling asleep in each other's arms as the sky began to lighten. Afterward, I didn't hide it from him when I bought the morning after pill. Not long after, Ethan scheduled a joint checkup for us, and the results that day showed I was congenitally infertile. Looking back now, Ethan probably couldn't bring himself to admit that he was the one who was infertile and didn't want me to hurt my body by taking more pills. So, he faked my report. He held me gently. Don't be scared. If you don't feel safe, I can use protection. Just please don't take those pills anymore. I looked at the moisture in his eyes and couldn't bring myself to argue. The fact that we, a fake couple on a contract, were sleeping together more and more frequently really wasn't all Ethan's fault. I had become strangely addicted to it. There were no extra emotions involved. I just found that being with Ethan in this way felt compatible. I often made excuses to be with him, to explore things more deeply. So when I later stumbled upon the truth that he was the one who was infertile, I didn't confront him. I even secretly started scheming to get him to renew the contract for another year. Good looking, great in bed, considerate, and he came with built-in birth control. They were all pluses, but fate, it seems, is unfair. The happiest year of my life wasn't even over, and the real deal was back. Where were they now? A hotel? A hot ring? Or had they moved through several different locations? The thought of it left a strange tightness in my chest. There was a knock on the window again. Cole was hanging there like Spider-Man, gesturing for me to answer my phone. Jenna, I did some digging. My uncle isn't coming back tonight. Can you let me in? I threw the window open with a whoosh. Can't you just walk in through the door, please? My uncle already knows I'm trying to steal his girl. If I use the main entrance, won't the Blackwood family's bodyguards shoot me on sight? You think with that long rope of yours, everyone is blind? So, should I let go? If you won't let me in, I might as well just die. He pretended he was about to release the rope. Get your ass in here and close the window. The moment I let him in, he pushed me onto the bed. A fresh ocean-like scent filled the air. Wearing cologne. Not just that. Let me show you something else new. Cole took my hand and guided it inside his open collar where I felt a cool body chain. He licked his lips slightly, a flash of silver glinting on his tongue. Have you tried this before, Jenna? I hadn't. A little voice inside me screamed. Try it. Maybe if you get hooked on something new and exciting, you can finally kick your Ethan addiction. I pulled on Cole's body chain, pressed my lips to his, and mumbled, "Don't move. I'll do it myself." Our lips and tongues intertwined. In the center of that soft warmth was a rolling star-like coolness. Cole's breathing grew heavier, and he couldn't resist grabbing the back of my head, leaning in to press me down. I propped myself up and pushed him away. "Why did you cross the line again?" I specifically said, "You don't move. I'll do it." I really couldn't get along with him. I hated this feeling of the unknown, of things being outside my control. TCH, you're so gentle with that wooden block of an uncle, but so mean to me. Can't you just spare a little love for me, Jenna? Ethan, we just have an employer-employee contract relationship. Where would love come from? Besides, I was born without the ability to love. What I felt for Ethan definitely wasn't love. Then can I hire you, too? Hire you to be my master? The corners of Cole's eyes were red, but his lips were curved into a smile. Master, I was wrong. Punish me. Cole bent down, taking my ankle and placing my foot on his back. No, I don't want to sign a new contract. I want to leave this place by myself. Just as a creak sounded from the door opening, a wave of absurd emotion washed over me, forcing involuntary tears from my eyes. What are you two doing? I was simply unable to process the situation, and my body was reacting with resistance. But when I turned my head, tears still clinging to my lashes, I looked pitiful and vulnerable to anyone watching. When Ethan saw me, his expression shifted from shock to fury. Can't you see she doesn't want this? If you're in heat, go find somewhere else to deal with it. He strode over, grabbed Cole, and dragged him out of the room, leaving me and Isabel staring at each other. My gaze fell, and sure enough, Isabel was wearing that ring. TCH. He proposed and she said yes that fast. Damn rich people. A captivating sparkle flashed, and unable to contain my initial curiosity, I spoke up. Isabel, if you don't mind me asking, how much is that ring worth? Isabel seemed taken aback by my question and froze. Oh, this. My husband designed it for me himself. It's priceless. Husband? You're already calling him that. Since when did Ethan have that kind of skill? The man couldn't even knit a scarf properly. I couldn't understand how they could adapt to new roles so quickly. Just yesterday, she was introducing herself as his childhood friend, and today it was husband and wife. Isabel looked up. Huh? But we're already married. I'm even carrying his child. A child? Didn't Isabel just get back? How did she get pregnant? I instinctively touched my own stomach. No, this is wrong. Everything is a mess. I felt like if I thought about it for one more second, my head would explode. After you got pregnant, don't you find it troublesome? Not at all. I'm willing to have a child for someone who only has eyes for me. Isabel's face glowed with a happiness that was almost painful to look at. It was a kind of joy I would never be able to understand in my entire life. I thought it's time to leave Ethan for good. Just then, Ethan returned covered in sweat. Jenna, we need to talk. Ethan, we need to talk. Isabel stepped aside. Then I won't disturb you. I stopped her. Hey, don't go. I just need 10 minutes with Ethan. I'll be moving out right after. I don't have much stuff. Isabel looked at Ethan, seeming to want to say something, but holding back. Ethan grabbed my wrist and started walking outside. You can stay in the second room on the left upstairs. The pillar lights outside the villa attracted a few moths, desperately fluttering to get closer to the light source. Jenna, it's not what you think. If I don't say it now, it'll be too late. I have to make things clear to you right now. I was originally planning to officially propose to you next Wednesday. The person I've always wanted to marry is you. Let's get a real license. Let's be together. Okay. Ethan took out that familiar velvet box and got down on one knee. Only then did I notice that the two rings were slightly different. The one Isabel was wearing had 6 small diamonds, while the one in his hand had 10. My eyes, betraying me, were fixated again. Isabel had said hers was priceless. Did that mean mine was worth 2 cities? I swallowed hard. Do I have to marry you to get it? Ethan ruffled my hair. I don't know what to do with you. Fine, just wear it for now. When you're ready to accept me, you can put the other one on for me. Okay, but you can't sell it. Ah, can't sell it. Then it was no different from all the clothes in the closet. Then I don't want it. I thoughtfully closed the ring box for him. Ethan was so angry he raised his voice. Can't you even take a closer closer look? It has your name engraved inside. Jenna, a stern, commanding question struck like thunder beside us. Jenna, you ungrateful son. Didn't you tell me she was Isabel Tang, the Tang family's daughter? The pressure in the room dropped to an all-time low. It was probably the first time in a long while that Ethan's study had been this full. Isabel, who had come downstairs after hearing the commotion, was also caught in the middle of it all. Ethan's voice was low as he recounted a truth that even I had never heard. Originally, he and Isabel were indeed set for an arranged marriage, a practical union to get by. But 3 months before the wedding, Isabel went on a trip abroad to clear her head and unexpectedly met the love of her life. Impetuously, without a second thought about how to explain it to her family, she decided to immigrate and stay abroad. Ethan was devastated for a month until he met me. The Blackwoods and the Tangs had never formally met and had very little contact. Both families subscribed to the same idea for a marriage alliance. As long as the etiquette and finances were in order, everything else was secondary. So Ethan hired me to be Isabel's stand-in. Isabel and I looked so much alike that given the lack of interaction between the two families, keeping me around was enough to pass for the real thing. Isabel told her family she was going abroad with Ethan for further studies while Ethan pretended he disliked traditional ceremonies and was having a destination wedding with Isabel. Isabel's real husband was a locally well-known jewelry designer. The reason Ethan had gone abroad to find Isabel was to secretly have this pair of rings made. After hearing the whole story, Mr. Blackwood was so furious he took off his antique watch and threw it on the table. You haven't forgotten, have you? The condition for handing over the company to you. Dad, you can't deny that the company is running very well under my management. If you take it back now, who would you entrust it to? All I need to do now is get back together with Jenna and put everything back on track. I meekly spoke up. Is anyone going to ask me? I'm not willing. Ethan's expression hardened. Why? Isabel and I are not in that kind of relationship. You heard her just now. She has her own husband and they're very happy. I nodded. I get it now. You've had a really rough time. Ethan looked devastated, his brow furrowed. You've misunderstood. I haven't had a rough time. After we broke up, the one I fell for was always you. Mr. Blackwood, being with you is very comfortable, but I don't need your affection. As a party to our contract, your unilateral concealment of facts constitutes a breach. I am telling you now. Fine. Let's say I breached the contract. Okay, I'll pay you 10 times the amount. I'm begging you. Please consider me now. But I've already prepared myself to leave you. Ethan's father suddenly burst into laughter. Your name is Jenna, is it? I used to dislike you quite a bit, but now the more I look at you, the more I like you. How about it? Want to consider dumping this kid and coming to work for me as an assistant? Thank you for the offer, but I'll be leaving after this is all sorted out. As for the job, I'm not suited for work. I'm afraid you'd have to fire me, and then I'd owe you a huge penalty for breach of contract. Mr. Blackwood left, calmly, telling us to come back for dinner on Friday. I thought to myself, I probably won't be going. As the footsteps faded, an awkward silence fell over the room. Isabel explained that she had only come back this time to visit family and incidentally to celebrate our good news and give us a wedding gift. I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I didn't know your situation was so complicated. She patted Ethan on the shoulder and left a thick envelope on the table. Ethan's eyes were shadowed with exhaustion as he humbled himself. Jenna, can you really not consider being with me? When did it start? I looked at Ethan, all his pride gone. When did you start to like me? What if I told you I was interested in you from the moment I first saw you? I didn't know what expression to put on to respond to him. What would a normal person do in this situation? Surprise, shock, or maybe burst into tears of joy, but I just found it utterly uninteresting. The entire premise of my comfortable relationship with Ethan was that I could be completely unguarded around him, all according to the contract. But now he was telling me he had kept me by his side with ulterior motives. All those experiences I thought were new and sweet were just coated in a layer of fake sugar. You shouldn't have chosen me, Mr. Blackwood. I was born without the ability to love. Now that everyone knows the truth, our contract is meaningless, isn't it? Let's just end it now. Forget the breach penalty. Whenever it's convenient, could you just settle the double final payment? A bitter look washed over Ethan's face. The only reason you were willing to be near me was for the money? Yes. Not even a tiny possibility of something else? No. Even though a fleeting pang of sadness shot through my chest, I briefly mourned the stable rhythm Ethan had brought to my life. But it was just that, a fleeting moment. Even if Ethan was willing to cater to me, to indulge me, could I really handle his enormous, wealthy family? His father disliked me from the start. He would never think highly of me. The only reason I agreed to Ethan's proposal in the first place was because I really didn't want to suffer anymore. I never wanted to go back to those days of buying a $2 flatbread, breaking it into pieces, and soaking the stale parts in hot water to make it last for 2 days. I had tried to find a stable job with a salary of a few thousand a month. I would have gladly worked a job like that until I was old and gray, but people like me can never learn to please others. They always found some reason to fire me. Mr. Blackwood, you were the only one willing to pay me a high salary and sign such a long formal contract with me. I'm truly grateful. Thanks to you, I've saved up enough money to last a lifetime. It's a shame our agreement has expired. I can't continue on with you in any capacity outside of that agreement. You know that I can't even break the rules I set for myself. Just then, a text message arrived on my phone. It was the hospital notifying me that I would be 4 weeks along next week and could schedule a painless abortion. Mr. Blackwood, I'm sorry, but could you include the money for next week's abortion in the payment? This child, it's actually yours. Ethan looked up in shock. What did you say? His eyes, already brimming with sorrow, were fighting to stay in control. Could you please never mind? Why would you be willing? Fate has a twisted sense of humor. Is this to punish me for hiding the fact that I was the one diagnosed as infertile? Ethan laughed. But as he did, tears welled up in the corners of his eyes. I couldn't empathize with his pain, but I walked over and gave him a hug. I'm sorry. Whether I told you or not, the result would be the same. Or would you have cared a lot? This child must be very important to him. I suppose I should apologize, but I couldn't bring myself to stay for his sake. Ethan placed his hands on my back, his grip tightening. It's okay. You did great, Jenna. He rested his head on my shoulder, his voice muffled. At this point, if I said I wanted to sign a new contract with you, would you be willing? I held him, gently patting his back. No, I've saved up enough for a lifetime. Then let me hire you one last time. Come with me to one more place. Okay. The fee for this will be sent to your account along with the final payment. I heard my own voice tremble slightly. Okay. It was the tail end of March, a sunny day with a sudden warmth. Ethan took me to a cemetery. His grandparents were buried there. I had come with him once before. Back then, I had lit a stick of incense for them and mimicked him as I prayed. This time, Ethan didn't ask me to do anything, just to stand by his side. He stood straight and tall, bowing his head to each of them in turn. Grandpa, Grandma, I won't be able to bring her to see you anymore. She's a wonderful person. I'm the one who wasn't good enough. Please don't take back the blessings you once gave us. A gust of wind blew through, scattering the nearly withered pear blossoms from the tree behind the gravestone. The pure white petals were already covered in deep brown wrinkles. Such a short blooming season. And just like that, it was over. Ethan stood up and once again held out his hand to me. Let's walk from here all the way to that gate over there and then I'll let go. I looked at the iron gate, left ajar. It was only a few hundred yards away. I raised my hand and took Ethan's. We didn't speak again, just walked quietly, step by step. The path was covered in fallen pear blossoms, which made a soft rustling sound as we stepped on them. I snuck a glance at the growing redness in Ethan's eyes. I couldn't bring myself to say anything comforting simply because I didn't know how. I wondered to myself, if the contract we had signed from the beginning was for me to be with him for real, would I have agreed? Maybe I would have. But I still wouldn't have been able to love him like a normal person. Just as I couldn't empathize with his sorrow now. The slight tremor from his hand tightly holding mine couldn't make me stay. I knew that very well, and so did Ethan. We were destined to walk different paths, so it was better not to say those words. The few hundred yards passed quickly. At the gate, Ethan let go of my hand and brushed the fallen blossoms from my shoulders. Then, as light as a dragonfly on water, he hugged me for 3 seconds and let go. His eyes held a 1,000-word essay, but he didn't dare say it, and I couldn't listen. I opened my ride-sharing app, set a destination in the opposite direction from Ethan's, and slowly continued walking along the pedestal path. I didn't look back. A tree of snow by the fence. A beautiful fleeting moment. That was you, Ethan. Thank you for that. I received it. Goodbye and never see you again. 16. Ethan's perspective. I really don't know what to do with Jenna. In all my years, I've stumbled badly twice. The first time was over Isabel, but that was just a small stumble. Isabel craved a passionate, intense love. So, all I had to do was give her freedom. But Jenna is different. She's like the security gate at the entrance of a neighborhood. If my signal doesn't match, I'll never get in. She doesn't want freedom, doesn't want redundant affection, and doesn't even want love. She only accepts the order she recognizes. She announced that we would never see each other again. And I agreed, though I didn't mean it. So that became the new rule between us, which is why she didn't wander off to the ends of the earth. She just moved out of my place and rented a small single-loo apartment a block away. Sometimes through the window, I can see her fuming as she lectures a piece of laundry that won't hang properly and has just drenched her. My heart feels soft and achy. She's still the same as when I first met her with that fatally pure magnetism. I still secretly send her gifts, just in a more roundabout way. If I told her directly that she'd won a prize and was getting a free gift, she wouldn't accept it. But a BOGO deal or a free gift with purchase at the supermarket, that she'll accept. After all, she paid for it, acquired through the proper rules of commerce. When she buys something, she probably hangs her head, clenching her fist and wincing at the cost. She loves money, but maybe not that much. She even said I gave her enough in 3 years to last a lifetime. When she was still around, she would occasionally ask for an outrageous sum out of the blue, making my heart itch. I want to give her more. I want to see her so excited she can't sleep, running out onto the balcony to gleefully count her money. There's always a way. I'll just have to think of it slowly. As long as I don't get close to her, as long as I don't see her, she won't run away. Before I knew it, the grueling summer had passed, and the maple leaves had secretly turned red. Cole was at the window again, hanging from his rope. Tap tap tapping. I yanked the window open. Move it. You're in my way. Then let me in so we can watch together. Unlee. Then he had every right to grit his teeth. After all, since I'd personally sent him home last time, this was the first time I'd seen him in over 6 months. I let him in and gave him a kick. He lay on the floor and I pressed against the floor-to-ceiling window. We were like 2 clumps of moss growing in a dark corner, secretly peering outside. In the distance, we could see Jenna playing with a cat. She gave the little cat a small whole fish, then lifted its paw to her cheek. 1 small fish in exchange for 2 minutes of cat cuddling time for her. It was a perfectly fair exchange. So nice. I want to be that cat. You talk too much. Watch and then get out. And don't you dare bother her or I won't mind making you disappear for another year or 2. I'm not in a hurry. I'll outlive you eventually. Old man. Shut up. Don't disturb her. Jenna had finished petting the cat. She stood up and stretched. The last rays of the setting sun hit her, reflecting straight into my eyes. My eyes stung, and a hint of bitterness secretly spread in my mouth. But this is good enough, isn't it? As long as I don't disturb her. It's like she never left,